I do not like discomfort. I crave the safety of my couch. I'm lazy. I get nervous talking to strangers. So why do I keep finding myself in situations like this? And this? And this? Because life starts on the other side of discomfort. I made the first of many uncomfortable decisions in my life when I left law school. Left my desk job to pursue a career in what every Asian parent wants to hear, the creative arts. I wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to travel the world, camera in hand. I wanted to uncover real human stories. I wanted to make my mark. So naturally, I started taking nightclub photos in Northbridge. But I always dreamt of more. And it did come, though every step along the way was fraught with discomfort. And at first, I didn't understand why everything had to be so hard. But I started realizing something. All my most impactful photos, the breakthrough moments, none of them were pleasant situations. They were scary, confusing, and uncomfortable. And maybe that's why they mattered. So this is possibly one of the worst photos I've taken in my professional career. It's blurry, it's out of focus, it's exposed weirdly. And if you get the feeling that my heart really isn't in it, then you would be right. Around 10 years ago, I was touring with a musician called Passenger. And when you imagine traveling with a rock star, you might naively, like me, picture screaming fans, the blinding bright lights of the stage, the glory. They don't really tell you the part about sharing sofa beds in hostels and eating Pringles for lunch and driving for hours and hours on end to regional towns, only to play to a handful of people in an empty pub. And that's where my predicament lay. You see, I always thought my role was to capture people at their best. But what about their lowest? Was I meant to document their most disappointing moments for everyone to see? Did we even want proof that this night even existed? So in the end, I only took about 5 photos that night, and unbelievably, this is the best one. It's blurry, it's out of focus, it's exposed weirdly, but I'm so glad that we have it. Because fast forward just a few years, and this is a Passenger concert. Let me ask you this, does this photo have anywhere as much meaning on its own without seeing the first one before it? Would my eyes well up as I click that shutter, capturing this single moment in time, looking out to the screaming fans, the blinding lights, if it weren't for the times I photographed him busking on the street? My journey with Passenger has taught me this, that even when things don't go to plan, you show up. You play to empty rooms, you take photos, and you don't look away. Because if you can't see where you started from, you'll never know just how far you've come. I knew that if I wanted to become a real storyteller, I needed to face my own fears. And what could be more scary and more uncomfortable for a shy, timid, introverted boy from Mandurah than travelling to a foreign continent with a mission? I wanted to take one portrait a day of a complete stranger. It wasn't easy for me. Many times I found myself frozen to the spot, just trying to summon up the courage to approach someone. But slowly, I was meeting all sorts of interesting people on the street. I was always looking for that one quirky character, maybe with the cool hair or the knowing eyes, the busker on the street, the weirdo, the person that dared to be a little different. And then one night, in Amsterdam, scanning the dwindling crowds, confidence low, felt a tap on my shoulder. Turn around. It's another photographer. And he wants to take my portrait. And then I realized it's me. I'm the weirdo on the street. Hair out, lurking in the darkness, accosting strangers. I'm the person that I'm looking for. You know, growing up, I always thought that my differences were my weakness. And wouldn't life be easier if I was just like everybody else? But what if what used to make me uncomfortable could actually be my strength now? Imagine the possibilities if I could just let go, be unapologetic about who I was and the art I wanted to create. So I returned to Perth, empowered with a new mindset. One portrait a day, child's play. What about 300 in a day? 24 hours without sleeping. It was overkill, yes, and I stayed in bed for about a week after this. But something had changed, and I was ready to go all in. That is, of course, until some real work was required. This is the world's largest cave. It's a 4-day hike just to get to this point. But I want to tell you about what happened weeks before this. You see, to be allowed access on this exclusive tour, you have to answer a series of questions about your fitness level. How often do you go to the gym? How many times a week do you exercise? And I knew that never was the wrong answer here. So I said yes, many times you will see me at the... Yep, so I lied. But I did start to worry, because there probably was a reason for that questionnaire. And the last thing I wanted was to be embarrassed because I couldn't keep up with the group. So I, a man whose one and only use of the fitness app on his phone was to see what the lowest amount of steps in a day he could take was, 42. Impressive. I started running laps around Hyde Park, and it went about as well as you can imagine. It was sweaty and horrible. And very swiftly, I was looking for the easy way out. So I started cutting corners, and the corners got bigger and bigger, until eventually I was basically just running a small circle inside the park. And when it got to that ridiculous point, that's when I got it. And it wasn't an epiphany about running, it was about creativity. And all the fear and doubt and insecurity and all the hurdles that always stand in the way of your creative vision. The easy thing to do is to stop trying, to give up. And I've felt that many times. But if we make excuses, or if we cut corners, every time something gets a little bit uncomfortable, then what's the point? Just means the next time a challenge comes, you'll be just as bad as the first time. That unease that we feel is a sign that we are going beyond our usual limits. And that's a good thing, because just like athletes, artists need to train their creativity like a muscle. In reality, creativity doesn't come in this moment of divine inspiration. It's earned through discipline, work, and pressure. And what we push through today extends what we're capable of tomorrow. I found myself in the Italian Alps last year. I'd seen pictures before, the golden sunlight hitting the rugged peaks, and I wanted that image. So I made it to the trail, slugged it up the mountain, braced myself for the epic reveal, and this is what I found. But it's okay, I thought it's okay. There's a dozen other photographers here. We all have the same idea. Let's just see what happens. 10 minutes turn into an hour. Hour turns into 4 hours. And then one by one, everybody just starts to leave. It's foggy, icy, windy, cold. And then it starts to get dark as well. And I feel a little bit silly for still being there. But something held me there a little bit longer. And just seconds before I'm ready to turn away, I see it. tiniest little window opening in the clouds. And just like magic, those mighty peaks begin to reveal themselves. I fumble around with my camera, I grab my lantern, sprint to the ledge, and silently and breathlessly, I stand alone on the ridge, soaking in this surreal moment. For 4 minutes, because then it's gone again. But I got it. And what kept me there when everybody else went home? Was it blind faith? Yes, partly. But also, it was because this scenario has played out countless times before. Whether it's driving through the Icelandic winter at 4 a.m. in search for the Northern Lights, or crossing the Drake Passage just for that one moment of ephemeral majesty. And it hasn't worked out every time, but enough times it has. Enough that I now know that for every extra step you take, every extra minute you persist through discomfort, it's a point where someone else has given up and walked away and missed the shot. Our current project approaches discomfort in a more intimate way. Scars tend to be one of those taboo subjects, something that we hide from others. But the amazing thing about photography is that it provides this bridge, this special form of connection and expression that we can use to explore things we find difficult to talk about. See past the pain and discover the human spirit. Take Esther, a South Sudanese refugee who lost her fingers in a cooking fire accident when she was just a toddler, moved from camp to camp, eventually making it to Australia, where she didn't speak a word of English. She struggled, but now she's thriving. She says, "My hands are my best features. Without them, I do not have the strength and resilience I have today." Or Brad, 5-time Paralympian. He says, "Yes, sometimes in life you are dealt a bad hand, but life doesn't have to stop there at all, and you can go on to achieve impossible things." Mindy and Michelle, mother and daughter who battled cancer at the same time, their bond only strengthening as they relied on each other to fight through. Or Megan, who was only 14 when the bombs went off at the Sari Club in Bali. Her burn scars are a painful reminder of that devastating day, but they also represent to her our capacity to overcome. All of these stories are difficult to talk about. I'm photographing and, in some cases, revisiting the trauma, the worst experiences of people's lives. But there is power in stories and images. They can inspire and heal. It just takes trust, vulnerability, and the courage to feel a little uncomfortable. If our goal as artists is to create something that has meaning, has impact, it's not going to be easy. That's usually a good indicator that it's going to be worthwhile. I don't like discomfort, but I understand that I need it. My best photos aren't the ones taken in moments of calm, surety, and confidence. No, they came from places of chaos, anxiety, and insecurity. Photography gave me permission to be uncomfortable. The camera in my hand is how I've tricked myself into living a life full of rich experiences. How I've tricked this scared little couch potato into climbing mountains, traveling the world, and uncovering those important human stories. So I invite you to seek discomfort. Take that next step into fear and uncertainty, because there's a chance that something incredible is on the other side. Why not find out?